Welcome to Mom in Mind, a podcast about maternal mental health, discussing conception, pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. Real stories from moms and family members who have made it from struggling to wellness, and interviews with experts and advocates who work for moms and families to get the help they need. This podcast is meant to offer information and awareness and is not a replacement for treatment by a professional or professional training. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Mom in Mind. I'm your host, Dr. Kat, and I'm popping in this week for a special edition of Mom in Mind to talk about Maternal Mental Health Week and World Maternal Mental Health Day. And I really wanted to, come in and have a chat with you guys about all of the great things that are happening nationally and internationally to raise awareness during this week and on Maternal Mental Health Day, and also for the month of May, and to touch base again on why we need this awareness and why we're doing this work in the first place. That one of the goals of the Mom in Mind podcast is first and foremost really to get information out there, get awareness of maternal mental health issues out into the public in a way that's accessible and easy for people to get to. If you have an iPhone or if you have a mobile phone, you can get this information really right in the palm of your hand through podcast, which is so cool. And I'm glad to be able to reach a lot of you and get the information out to you in a way that you can fold into your daily life, doing the dishes, going on a walk, or in the car, whatever you're doing. I really believe that we deserve to be aware and educated on these topics so that we can make informed decisions about our health and mental health. Specifically for, during pregnancy and postpartum and on the journey to have children, there's all these really beautiful and lovely things that can happen along the way, and ideas that we have about motherhood that are great and wonderful. And sometimes all of the things we expect and hope for, sometimes that's not the reality. And that's really, really difficult. The things that we are trying to get out there in terms of awareness and education is that perinatal mood and anxiety disorders is what they're called, like postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety or pregnancy depression or anxiety, or things like that, happen to, roughly 20% of women. Some estimates say 1 in 5, some say 1 in 7, some say 1 in 8. And the reality is, for people who have more stress and more difficulty in their lives, and less resources and less support, the likelihood of them having a really difficult time is much higher. So getting the word out there about that these sorts of things can happen, that you may feel depressed, you may feel anxious, and that there is help available for you is really, really important, because so many moms and dads and families feel lost, feel confused, don't really understand what's going on, why they're feeling the way they're feeling. All this social messages about, motherhood is going to be wonderful and magical, and you're going to, all of your instincts are going to kick in and you're going to feel like you're doing what you were meant to do. Well, that does happen for some people, and that's awesome. And for some people it doesn't. But you know what? That doesn't make you less of a mother. It doesn't make you less of a father. It doesn't make you less of a person. It just really means that something is happening that you didn't expect, and that you need help with, and you need support with getting through. Just as in any other period of time of your life when things don't go as you expect and don't go as you plan, you maybe need a little bit of additional support to get out of that. And there's really nothing wrong with that. What's really lovely and beautiful about raising awareness of maternal mental health issues and informing the public about these things is that we can also reduce the stigma that comes along with it. So, these ideas of what a good mother is supposed to do and what a good father is supposed to do. If you happen to also have a perinatal mood or anxiety disorder like depression or anxiety or OCD or PTSD, or if you had a birth trauma if your birth didn't go as you planned or as you hoped or expected, or if it was really scary for you, that doesn't mean you did anything wrong. And that's a really important message, and something that I hope all of you can take to heart, is that when things don't go well, when things go wrong, it doesn't mean you're a bad parent. It doesn't mean you've done something inherently wrong. We need to move towards having a compassionate understanding of the transition to parenthood and motherhood. It's hard, and there's, we can prepare, and we should prepare for pregnancy and prepare for birth and prepare for the postpartum period. But there are some things that you just can't prepare for necessarily. What we can do is find ways to cope with what happens, and find ways to bring compassion into our lives about our situation, and really, treat ourselves as we would treat somebody that we really love and care for. So I think it's really, really important when we're talking about maternal mental health and why we're raising awareness for these issues, is to keep those kinds of things in mind. If you know a mom who's just had a baby and she's not doing well, and you know that she's not doing well, there's nothing wrong with her. She's going through something. So we have to, bring our compassion and understanding and check in on her and bring food and, watch the baby so she can sleep, or come in and bring your vacuum with you and clean the house. Those are little things that are supportive. But sometimes just really sitting down and listening to a mom, listening to a dad and their experience and their story without judgment, without necessarily trying to fix it unless they're asking for help to fix it. One of the things that makes having a depression or anxiety or anything like that during pregnancy or postpartum is that moms can feel really alone, and dads can feel really alone in that process. As I was saying before, that whole feeling of really wanting to, live out that experience of having a perfect pregnancy and a perfect birth and a perfect postpartum, and then dealing with the reality when that's not the case can feel very isolating. And especially when we don't know what's going on or why we're feeling the way we feel, it can be really easy to blame ourselves. Well, I must have done something wrong, or I'm a bad parent. I'm a bad mother because I, can't do all of these 500 things on this list and take care of this baby and feel functional. The level of pressure that we have on ourselves to just get it all right and be everything is just like nothing else in our lives. We don't put that pressure on ourselves in the same way in any other part of our life. If you have been given, if I hand you a brand new job, say, this is your new job. You're going to be taking care of this person 24/7 for months on end without a break and without sleep. And I'm not going to really tell you how to do your job, but you just got to figure it out as you go along. Would you feel like it's reasonable then to be upset with yourself that you don't feel like you can do everything? No, probably not. But that's the kind of pressure that we're under oftentimes is figuring out how to take care of a baby, how to take care of ourselves, how to understand our mood changes, how to explain to other people what our mood changes are. This is all very difficult stuff. In terms of the transition into parenthood and motherhood, it takes a while. It can take a while to really, feel like you know what you're doing, or to even be wanting to do what you're doing sometimes. Certainly depending on your life circumstances and your own health and the health of your child and your pregnancy. Sometimes we come into new parenthood exhausted, before it even really gets going. And it can take some time to get some energy enough to feel like, yeah, I can do this, or yeah, I want to do this. And having those conflicting feelings about motherhood and parenthood is part of the process sometimes. Unfortunately, I think for the most part, we have the pressure of having those hallmark card type experiences in pregnancy and birth and postpartum and something I hear a lot from a lot of the moms I meet with is that this expectation that all of a sudden you're going to know what to do, and that you're supposed to know what to do. When else in your life do you have that kind of pressure? Is there any other time where you are expected to all of a sudden know everything? I keep thinking of The Matrix, the movie, they just plug something in, you download this information and you're good to go. It doesn't happen. I really want to make sure that we're trying to think about motherhood and parenthood as a process, that it's not waking up one day and knowing how to do everything, that it's sometimes just tripping over our own feet and our own words and our own feelings, and getting up and kind of shaking it off and figuring out a different way, trial and error, lots and lots of that sometimes. And it can be exhausting. Why don't we think about parenthood and motherhood as a process, just like anything else? For even starting any old new job, even when you do have training on a new job, it can take 6 months or so until you really feel like you're clicking in and you know what you're doing and you've got a rhythm and a flow. And it's really no different with parenthood. And that's when everything is kind of going okay, when you feel okay. But you add into that having to also deal and manage with depression or anxiety or trauma, or OCD, or having intrusive thoughts, or having to see what kind of medication is going to be useful for you, and going through those trials, or something happens in your relationship, or your child isn't well, or you're not well. There are all these complicating factors that can make the process take longer and feel harder. What I also want to make sure that all the listeners and everybody understands is that you can get help. You can really get help. There are lots of us who are working hard to get trained and be prepared to help moms, new parents, and new families to transition into parenthood in an easier way. And that doesn't mean we can prevent everything, but certainly we can help cope. We can help manage. We can help you figure out ways to get the support that you need. Sometimes just to get the sleep that you need. And we're all out there doing this work. And there are so many awesome organizations that are out there doing work, training other people, training clinicians, training OBs and pediatricians, and anybody who will listen to us. Most of us will talk to anybody who will listen to us about the importance of really understanding this transition into motherhood and parenthood from an informed place, so that we're not all, as a providers, we're not all assuming that they just had a baby, so they should be fine. They should be happy because this is what they've always wanted, or any number of things that I'm sure you guys have all heard on some level. What we really need to know is that everybody's path is different. Everybody's journey is different. And we are here to support you get through whatever it is that's going on, and find a way to cope and manage with the reality of your experience, and the reality of your situation. So one of the great ways to do that is just by awareness. Having an awareness that these things happen. Having an awareness that sometimes the transition into motherhood and parenthood is difficult. Understanding that if you have particular risk factors for developing a pregnancy or postpartum mood disorder, that there are some steps you can take to lessen the potential impact of significant mood changes. So in terms of the Mom in Mind podcast, what we're going to keep doing every week is bringing you more information, bringing you more aspects of conception and pregnancy and birth and postpartum that you can be informed about, that we can help you be informed about, and get information out there of all of the people who are doing work in the field of maternal mental health to try and make sure that all moms and dads and families know that they are not alone, that they don't have to go through this alone, that they do not have to suffer in silence, that there is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's just something that you're going through. There's a big, big difference there. We want you to know that maternal mental health matters. There's some really great campaigns coming out for Maternal Mental Health Week and World Maternal Mental Health Day. Some amazing advocating happening in Washington. You can listen back on episode 46 to hear about all of that. So if you guys want to get involved, I want to give you some places to go to that you can either get involved by just sharing a message on social media, by sharing this podcast on social media, or sharing this podcast with somebody that you know who could benefit from hearing some of this information, from knowing that they're not alone. So the first couple places I want to point you in the direction of. So formally, May 1st through May 7th is National Maternal Mental Health Week. There's some great things that you can do with the National Maternal Mental Health Coalition to be on board with that. You can go to www.mmhcoalition.com. They have a section on Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week. You can download some twibbins that change your Facebook picture. You can send messages from their page about maternal mental health. And that's just a really simple way to support awareness is, or lots of us are on social media, and even if that one mom who's just had a baby and who's not feeling well, she sees your profile picture that says, connect the dots, that says you are not alone, that says, maternal mental health matters. Maybe she'll click on that and get some information that could save her life in some cases. We just never really know the impact that a simple message will have. So by doing things like changing your profile pictures and changing your cover pictures on Facebook and on Twitter, you can potentially reach somebody. And that might be the extent of what you feel like you can do or want to do, and that's totally fine. So that's one really great avenue is go to the National Maternal Mental Health Coalition website and check on their Awareness Week information. Another really awesome thing is that May 3rd is World Maternal Mental Health Day. And this is a global effort to be raising awareness, not just in the United States, but everywhere. And I know, thankfully, on this podcast, we have listeners in over 65 countries. I'm glad you guys are listening. And if you want to be participating in World Maternal Mental Health Day, you can go to Postpartum Support International, www.postpartum.net, and they have in the Join Us section, there's a World Maternal Mental Health Day tab where you can also download and add to your social media profile pictures or cover art to join in the message for that particular day. There are so many organizations and really awesome things that are happening during Maternal Mental Health Week and Day and frankly month. And I will put as many links to those things as I can for you guys in the show notes so that you can find if you want to be participating or you just want to be reading and sharing information with other people privately. It doesn't have to be all over social media. If you see some article and you think, oh my gosh, I know a new mom, I know a new dad who may really, really appreciate this, or this could be useful for them, just sending information that way can be helpful. Certainly if you know any moms or dads if you know of anybody who's had a pregnancy loss, those folks are needing support too, and you can send them information. So I'm going to do my best to have a bunch of information for you guys on the website at www.momandmind.com. In the show notes for this episode, links for you guys to click on so you can participate in spreading awareness this week and this month, and so that you can be a part of all of the really cool things that are coming up. to be supporting moms and dads and families. I really thank you guys for being on this journey with me on the Mom in Mind podcast. I so appreciate you all listening, and I really, really hope that this information is useful for you and helpful for you, and that if you feel inspired to share it with other people, to share it in your mom groups, to share it with your colleagues, to share it in a way that's meaningful for you would be awesome. Getting this information out there is really, really a passion of mine, and I'm so grateful and honored to have you all on this journey with me. We're going to see where it goes. Episode 50 is going to be coming up soon, which is awesome. And we're going to be coming up on the year anniversary in June. So hopefully we'll have a lot of cool stuff for you guys when we're coming up on that in June. Thank you guys so much for listening and bringing your heart and your compassion and your understanding into this world of maternal mental health. And I'm really hopeful that you can take this information and share it with whoever may need it. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so grateful to have you and listening into all these awesome interviews and people that I get to talk with on this podcast. I'm excited to have more for you in our next episode. Thank you for joining us today. If you or someone you know is having a hard time, help is available. Please look for resources for help at momandmind.com. Also, please subscribe and share this podcast. Together, we can support moms and families so that no one has to deal with this alone. Thank you for being a part of the Mom in Mind community.